Yay!
Yay! Everything is working. We're live now. I just gotta
we are.
let everybody roll in. Autobots! Autobots! I'm gonna open my beer. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, there's Landon. All right, yeah, we're live. We're ready to go. We're just making sure everything's functioning here.
You just have to be professional about it.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I'm doing my best. All right. It's not my fault.
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
It's fine.
You're very commonly.
There we go. Hi, everybody. We're just waiting for Dapper to come back in. Technical difficulties. The new YouTube encoder is kind of... sometimes it's fine, and sometimes it's not. Hi, I am Chesh. That's Maanyaa. That's Landon. Dapper's on his way back in. Welcome to Debate Pub, where we sit around, drink, and talk about what's going on in the world and newsy type stuff things.
Yay!
What's going on is I have
to talk about.
I brought home lots of chocolate from Switzerland. Real chocolate there, good stuff there, good stuff there, and chocolate there. So I'll be consuming chocolate. I also have some Amarula liqueur from South Africa. So it is a I've been around, and of course I had some Turkish light too. So
I got some cracked canoe in a little keep my beer cold sleeve. That's what I'm drinking.
That's very Albertan of you. Did you get that in Alberta walking there?
Yeah, because I go there every time I need to go log on to Twitter. Specifically to troll one guy. How is everyone doing? It looks like people have got their beers going. People have got their drinks. We are 90 subs away from this channel being monetized, which is pretty rad, in my opinion.
Yay!
The Volcano Show is coming up soon next month. We've got Philosophy next Saturday. And yeah, that's what's going on. There's been a lot that's happened in the news, but I'm kind of stalling because I want Dapper to come in here and just start yelling about Luigi Mangione.
If you haven't hit that subscribe button, some people don't realize subscribe is not. It's not like you're signing up for a magazine. Subscribe is not really a subscription. It's like, I like this channel. I want to hear more from this channel. And you don't get pestered. You just basically say YouTube should treat this channel better. So that's what the subscribe button is. So if you can click that button, because Chesh puts lots of hard work into this.
I do put lots of hard work into it. Also, yes, I did already complete my walk to Alberta from the stream with Dapper.
Yes, you do a lot of traveling.
Yeah, I got the zoomies, man. Yeah, so I'll
that beautiful chocolate.
Give like some of the. Oh, do you want me to make you big? Hold on.
This is. Actually, it has.
That rose.
It's actually it's a chocolate bar. So they do chocolate in these layers. There's a milk chocolate. Here's a dark chocolate. Here's a thing with pistachio things in it.
Here's the pink one?
The pink one. It has kind of a
it's like marshmallows.
A rose and strawberry flavor to it.
Yeah.
That Swiss know how to make chocolate. They also know how to have trains run on time too. That's another
nice.
And Nathan says when Chesh walks, she makes the Mr. Krabs sound.
Oh God.
So yes.
All right.
And then of course Amarula for.
Yeah, everybody's got their drinks. Maanyaa, what are you drinking? Anything special?
I'm drinking tea. Just tea.
Tea can be good. Roast chocolate is good. So I guess we can start off with the Epstein file release, where there was just this. Oh, there's Dapper. Hi, Dapper.
Hello.
Hi, Dapper.
There he is.
Did I miss
All right.
it?
So
tell
I understand,
us
Chesh, you're going to
Mangione.
read the Epstein files. Is that
No? Don't, please. No. Have mercy on me. I read Project 2025. I read Canadian Project 2025. I'm reading their new Heritage Foundation's plans for the next 250 years for, like, the American family, which is just fucked up nonsense. And I'm reading that. I don't want to read the Epstein files.
You should read all the Taoist scriptures.
Oh my god, it's just
It's
gonna
only
be
a few thousand times longer than the Bible.
redacted. Elon, redacted, Epstein, redacted, Trump, redacted, 2012, redacted.
However, in the Watergate tapes, it was explicative. Deleted was all the things because they didn't have any naughty words.
If you want, I'll just record myself saying the word redacted a couple of times, and everybody can take it and use it however they see fit.
As that's a SNMR goblin says redacted.
There you go.
Redacted.
Here you go.
I like that.
Get
That was good.
really into the. Monty's gonna sing it. Dapper, tell us about Luigi Mangione.
All right, so Luigi Mangione, as you all know, is the man who was accused of I'll say killing the former CEO of United Health, which is a company in the United States most famous for themselves murdering thousands of people under this person's watch. Which is why I am not saying that Luigi Mangione was accused of killing him, because in order to murder, sorry, I was not saying he was accused of murdering him, because to murder someone, they have to actually be someone, and this guy wasn't.
This guy was not a one of some? I see.
No, he was a drag on humanity whose absence has made the world better. That being said, Luigi Mangione was until today facing the death penalty because the federal prosecutors were seeking murder 1 charges, as far as I remember, for him. Now, he's also facing murder charges in New York State, but New York State does not have the death penalty, but the federal government does, which is why the federal prosecutors were going after them. Now, just today, the judge in the federal case has dismissed the murder charges. He is still facing federal stalking charges, and so those charges are enough that he could be in prison for life if he were convicted of them and given the maximum sentence. Which, I mean, at this point, given how he's being treated, there's a fair chance that the prosecutors would seek the maximum sentence. But that being said, the death penalty is off the table, and so now the question is: will he or will he not spend the rest of his life in prison? I'm sure that the prosecution on both sides, both state and federal, are going to try their best. The reason was basically that the judge said that the stalking charges were incompatible with having the murder charge there. For various rules to do with various federal procedure stuff that I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not familiar enough with it to give you a coherent reading of why that is. The bad news, however, is that the backpack contents, where the cops illegally searched his backpack, those have apparently not been tossed out. So apparently that evidence is going to be presented in trial.
So I think what's happening here is some federal crimes require government to group them or not group, tether them to a separate qualifying offense, often phrased as a crime of violence. The prosecution's theory here depended on the stalking counts qualifying as that crime of violence, and the judge has said they don't.
Okay.
So the judge, who's Margaret Garnett, has acknowledged that a killing is violent, yes, but that's not the legal question. Apparently, the legal question is whether stalking statute as written always requires intentional violent force, and the answer is no, because you can't violate stalking laws in ways that don't inherently involve violent force or even intentional force.
So they're saying it's like a double thing where it's like you can't charge him for both because one precludes the other.
Yeah. So that's what's happening.
So it's a good news, bad news situation. There's definitely good news. Yeah. And there's bad news. Overall, it's good. I think more good.
So it's
like if you interact with employees of that company.
So
they have a policy where you have to be very careful, because if you get upset or if you even hint at this particular case, they turn you over to the police for making terroristic threats. So the recommendation from HR was be extremely nice to these people because you don't want them to do that hair trigger thing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a shame if someone outside the United States set up a robocaller that just constantly called them and made sure that all of them thought that Luigi Mangione had already come out of prison and was hunting for them right now? That would really be a shame, which is why no one should do it if you live outside of the United States.
No, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm gonna like intermittently put in some like different good news in between what we're talking about because some of the stuff we're talking about is pretty heavy. So in other news, Iron Lung, the movie made by Markiplier, has grossed already like $9 million, tripling the budget that he had on it that he's been working on for
Damn.
years. And it was
Wow.
and it was #1 on its release day
Nice.
in the United States, which is laughably, hilariously larger than Melania's that nobody went to go see.
I
Oh.
have yet to see a theater with double digits of patrons with tickets to any showing.
Yes.
Most of the showings seem to be empty. The most I've seen, I think, was
Good.
6 at one
There
showing.
is what on the other hand, Iron Lung is showing where I'm at, but there's like only front row seats available already when it was announced.
damn.
Like instantaneously
Wow.
gone. And in the other good news in relation to this, because Markiplier is just kind of a good guy, and what this kind of means for media and being a YouTuber and entering the field, because he got these showings of his movie based off of like he didn't go through a distributor because nobody would take him and stuff like
Right.
that.
Very
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very like grassroots. It's very Markiplier's fan base is insane and are able to like actually move and shake up some things.
That is
But
cool.
yeah, it's a really big deal. But also that he has worked with and has reached out to like blood drives. So the movie is called Iron Lung, and one of the things that I guess he did in the movie was like he used broke the record for the amount of fake blood used in a movie.
Good.
So yeah, so
Get out of here,
he,
The Shining.
right. So he's got blood drives that he's partnered with to make sure that there are blood bank trucks at locations where the movie is showing, so people
All
can
right,
go
I like
and
that.
Wow.
yeah.
Yay.
That is
That's
So-
good.
So Markiplier's about to break the blood bank because that's what
Well,
he broke OnlyFans. He broke he
well,
he just breaks everything he touches in the best way.
you know the setting of the thing is, right?
Hmm?
You know the setting of the movie, right?
Iron
No.
Lung? Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, okay, Landon doesn't, but
Go ahead.
it takes place primarily inside of a submarine in an ocean made of blood, specifically human blood. It's
Yep.
very mysterious.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
horror movie, so if you're interested, definitely go and check it out and see if it's playing at a theater near you.
It's based on a horror game.
Nice.
It's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, you can also go play the Iron Lung game if you would like.
I'm gonna
I-
watch the movie first.
On the other hand, that other film you mentioned, Melania, I thought
That nobody
one of
cares
the best, one of the best quotes I saw on Rotten Tomatoes was, "If this movie was being shown on an airplane flight, people would still walk out."
I saw that one. That was amazing.
That's a wonderful
Damn.
comment. That's a
Mhm.
wonderful comment.
Excellent.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing we should probably talk about is Greenland. So this is the beginning
Greenland.
of 2026. This is the first month of 2026. Everybody.
Mhm.
Go
Mhm,
fuck.
mhm.
All
Shit's
right.
already crazy.
Shit's already crazy. So I had a conversation with Geo, who is a German chemist who is currently living in Denmark and has been living in Denmark for a while. So I got his vibe and what he was thinking and kind of how it feels in Denmark and how he's understanding the way Germans feel about it. And everybody's pissed.
I mean, yeah.
Everybody is very, very angry. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, Denmark, Greenland, and Canada have had a pretty solid camaraderie and a pretty solid friendly history for a really long time. primarily because of some things that happened in World War II. Apparently,
Yep.
when you are not the people getting war crimed against, and the war crimes are getting you liberated, hey.
Oh God.
Wink.
Okay.
And of course, there was a famous island that both Canada and Denmark claimed, and they would leave each other whiskey and
Yes,
flag.
it was
very,
one of
it was a very
the
polite.
Really?
yeah, it's one of the longest running
sweet.
wars between two countries. Oh,
It's
like,
a
in
territorial
history.
dispute. It's not a war.
No, it was considered a war.
Okay,
Yeah, they basically would
Yeah.
they would put the other
it's a
their
war in the same
flag
way that
and
Vietnam isn't
liqueur
a
from their
war.
place. And other people would take the liqueur and put their stuff back and forth, exchanging of liqueurs and flags.
Yeah. It was schnapps and maple whiskey. It was the two alcohols that were generally dropped off. But we ended that war in solidarity with Ukraine. We were both like, all right, let's just put this on hold. Let's sign a treaty over this.
Wait, but who
because
has the island now?
it's a treaty,
So-
man.
It's divided.
It's an agreement. Yeah.
Oh, they
So-
divided the
Divided
island?
If I'm not
Yeah.
wrong,
Yep.
So
Greenland,
why not both?
Greenland is a self-governing place under the Kingdom of Denmark.
Yes.
Yep.
So Greenland, it has its own sovereignty, and it operates
Yeah.
underneath Denmark, and has been vying to be its own country for a little while. And they have like a little bit of a separatist movement going on, but they have already made it incredibly clear that their separatist movement would rather stay under Denmark than join the United States.
I mean,
I
the
mean,
separatist
I
movement is not
can't blame
like
them.
Alberta.
Mhm.
They actually want, but you can visit Greenland. They actually have a little convention center there. They can host groups up like 150 people. There, you should try to go there. It's a nice place.
If you can
Chesh,
visit.
Can we rename
This
Alberta
is all.
to Northern Florida?
They're a little bit more like Texas.
So why
All right.
Greenland matters, right? It's geographically important, I guess, because it sits near Arctic. Is it?
Yeah,
Is
so-
it relevant for?
I'll let Dabber go.
The excuse that the United States is using is that they are trying to establish a missile defense system, which is called, I believe, a Golden Shower, named after some of Trump's favorite activities, I believe is what it's called. And which, I mean, hey, you know what? As long as everyone's consenting, more power to you, I suppose. But the idea is that in order to make this an effective barrier over basically North America, because the idea is supposed to be that it will be integrated with NORAD, which is the North American something defense. Basically, it's a joint operation between Canada and the United States to protect from basically missile launches from
Yeah.
Northern Asia. So
Yeah.
now Trump's excuse for wanting Greenland, I don't believe for a second this is an actual thing that he thinks, is that he will then have all that area open for putting military bases. Of course, the problem is that there's already a treaty which allows the United States more or less unfettered military access to all of Greenland,
Yep.
which makes
And-
the idea that the United States would need Greenland to be part of the United States in order to put bases or missiles there kind of absurd.
It's a little silly.
At one time, the United States actually had 17 bases in Greenland,
Yep,
and they
we're
cut
down to
back
one
to
now.
one.
Yep.
And it's like, well, and part of the they
He's
really should say, hey, you
retreating
want to
to
put more bases
advance.
here?
Or the
um,
deal.
Bring more service people to have more commercial activity. Go for it. And but I think really the problem is those people that are infected with libertarianism and are pushing Project 2025. Their phrase is get rid of foreign entanglements. They see NATO as a foreign entanglement, and the way that they could undo NATO is to get the man-child in the Oval Office to effectively attack Kingdom of Denmark, and that would effectively end NATO, right? So those people
Yeah.
who were under that political malady saw convincing guy, hey, look, you can be better than the people purchasing Alaska. You can go down in history and get all this territory. Look at this, how great you would be. Make it a state, and they convinced him for the purpose of getting him to undermine NATO. He didn't understand. But that's
Well,
that's
like, yeah,
I think it's the
you
real
can't-
thing going on. in there. So I was working with staff members from Congress to try to figure out how to head this off. By the way, we're not out of the woods yet, because even though he says things of like, I'm not really wanting to use military force, he doesn't really. I think he doesn't really understand the things, and people were whispering in his ears. So don't think it's off the table just yet.
No.
Look, if there's one thing you can trust him to do, it's the dumbest imaginable thing.
Dumbest imaginable thing. And also, like, your allies don't like to get surprises.
They do not.
You have not consulted. You have not consulted them, and you have suddenly decided to like drop this fucking, whatever dookie on them, and then you expect them to just like stand by and let you do whatever the hell you want. That's not how it happens, right? And it's like, I get it. What's the line between the security cooperation and coercion at this point? Right?
Well,
what's
there's
the
another issue here too, right? When it comes to what they brought up, which is NORAD. If the United States wants to not have any alliances when it comes to whether it's military alliances, whether it's trade alliances, and they would rather just attempt to dominate the field, they lose, which they can't. Right? Like, it's not possible. And the reason I say it's not possible is because the United States cannot defend itself from a northern attack like they want to, and what they can do with NORAD without Canada. Without Canada's involvement, the United States cannot protect itself from a northern missile strike. Period.
I think there's one thing.
End of sentence.
And what did they do in last few days and months? They increased tariffs on Canada. Basically, what they're saying is, they're saying to specific allies, we want to work with you while we attack our other allies, and they expect those specific allies to trust them. They're like, when's our number coming? For getting betrayed or for getting, something dropped on our heads without any consultation. So if you start betraying one ally, all the others ally will stop trusting you, because there's no, what's the criteria? There seems to be no criteria. Yeah, okay, national security seems to be the criteria, but at one point, Denmark and Europe was part of that, that criteria and part of that partnership, but they were ousted for no reason, right? And now you're trying to burn NATO inside out. So what's the criteria of keeping specific alliances? There is none. So nobody is going to trust you, and you're going to get isolated, and then you are thinking you can carry on like this. And also, you are trying to attack other countries' sovereignty while you screech about your own country's sovereignty. Like,
there's an important aspect of this that I think everyone is ignoring too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that without NORAD, who will track Santa?
Mm-hmm. True.
Because NORAD is the one that tracks Santa.
Very important.
Yeah. So I think we got to be really careful.
There's another thing too, right? Like, one of the reasons why Trump and the United States put more tariffs on Canada is a twofold reason. And one we're going to talk about a little bit later, so I won't get into it, but it is the agreements that Canada may and may not be making with China, which we'll get into. But before that, it is that Canada, in no uncertain terms, said that they will be working with their NATO allies when it comes to defending Greenland. So it staunchly put Canada in direct opposition with the United States, which we've been since 2016. Trump's first administration, Trump didn't like Canada and was attacking Canada. So the second administration has just been more kind of the same nonsense, and we're just far more diametrically, directly opposed, and Trump doesn't like that. Oh yeah, and that Trump got embarrassed at that big global meeting where he looked like a bumbling idiot, and our guy gave like a speech that's likely going to go down in history.
And I'm going to say, it's at some point, someone's going to say, hey, babe, that Canada's part of NORAD, and occasionally they're, alternate basically which commander is running the show. I'm sure that if someone bothers telling him, he might get upset and screw social about it. But nonetheless, the main thing is I don't think he quite understands the implications of Greenland, and people around him are seeing this as an opportunity to remove the U.S. from foreign alignments such as NATO. And it's a shame that these political cowards of Project 25 aren't as upfront as they make these pretenses and stuff. And it's a shame we have somebody who's a man-child who's having cognitive difficulties, I think, who just doesn't understand or doesn't care. Or
Who can't even.
There's one thing, though. This is all exactly what Vladimir Putin would want. But I don't actually think that Trump is in cahoots with Vladimir Putin in any, conscious way. Because I think it's more like a Tim Pool situation. Because remember when Tim Pool was outed for taking Russian money, and he said, well, they never told me what to say. I just got to keep on doing what I was doing. And it's like, Tim, that means you were already a useful idiot for Putin. That is not a good thing.
Doing what he wanted.
You were already a tool for the Kremlin. Why the fuck would you admit that? I think it's one of those situations, except they don't even have to pay him.
Oh man, who remembers when Trump confused Greenland and Ireland? He confused Greenland and Iceland not too long ago. That happened.
To be fair, I've done that too.
Maanyaa, you're muted also. Oh, she's fixing her hair. Not the hair, not the hair. Yeah, so I don't know. There's the mineral thing. There's the thing with just, tooting his own horn and stroking his ego. There's the thing about NORAD and military stuff. Because the other military thing is is just the opening up passage of just traveling between point A and point B.
And if Trump got a hold of Greenland, he'd name it Trumpland or something silly like that.
Probably try, yeah.
I'm kind of surprised he hasn't tried to take over Disneyland.
Well, Ron DeSantis tried.
Yeah, he did. It didn't go well.
One thing that I do think,
yeah, which is great. One thing that I do think was really, really funny is that I am convinced. All right, this is come here.
Conspiracy time.
Come here. This is I have a thought. All right, I need you guys to tell me if I'm insane. All right, you have to tell me. I am convinced that Donald Trump has a whole thing with McDonald's because it is a Golden Arches. And it has his name in it.
I think that there's a pretty good chance that you're right about that.
Right? I'm not crazy, you're crazy.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah!
I think that seems very plausible.
Will McDonald's put a Trump burger on their menu?
No, I don't think they will. I don't think they want that heat.
I cannot believe there are not more Ronald McDonald Trump memes. Why are there not? My writes itself.
Chat. You know what to do.
Yeah, get on it. If you guys send me Ronald McDonald Trump memes, I will repost them on all of my things.
If you send them to me, I will on my live streams have a best Ronald McTrump or Ronald McDonald Trump meme collection.
And it's totally Ronald Reagan, right? Because half of what he's doing is ripping off Reagan and also getting Reagan wrong. So it's definitely Ronald Reagan McDonald Trump. It's perfect!
Got so pissed off when Canada played those ads of Reagan talking about how bullshit tariffs are.
Oh, so good. That was Doug Ford, and one of my favorite things is I saw Doug Ford talking about it, and so the media was like, hey, Doug, are you worried that, Carney would be mad at you? And, because he was trying to do tariff talks, and he's just like, no, I knew he wouldn't be mad. Why? Why did you know that? Because I was in the room with him when they went live.
Awesome.
So Carney was there, knew about it, and I already knew he had tacitly approved about it, but the fact that he was in the room is just you think Canada doesn't know how to troll somebody?
Ronald Reagan was not wrong about that. Ronald Reagan was wrong about a lot of shit. Well, okay. Ronald Reagan's handlers were wrong about a lot of stuff. Ronald Reagan didn't really have too many opinions of his own because, he wasn't actually a thinking human being for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But the things said in that speech are not really wrong. Tariffs almost always are most destructive to the country that is imposing the tariffs.
Yeah, I mean,
hurt
they're
both
a tool
countries,
to be
but
used, not just to be flung around randomly as if they mean anything. Do we have anything else to add about?
Well, he's
Greenland
used to flinging things around
Iceland / Trump?
So So the question is, what is the Supreme Court going to do when they come back to their thing about whether Trump's tariffs are constitutional or not? Right?
They're going to suck his dick
and
like
there's
they
a whole
always
range
do.
of things that they can do, from punting it to referring it back to the lower court for more details. It's possible you can get a three-way split decision, so there's no majority.
They can try
a
to
bunch of
delay
things.
it.
It's possible that they might say, let the current tariffs stand, but don't do new ones. There's all kinds of things. If you're a Roberts Court, you don't care about precedent. You just care about the ends, the legal means are justifying themselves. Then who knows, right? But people are waiting to see what happens in the court with regards to Trump stuff, because that could impact Trump's so-called policy.
My general assumption is that the Roberts Court is going to just deep throat Donald Trump's tiny, tiny dick, which makes it easy to do, to be fair, and then do whatever he would want. Now, every once in a while, they surprise me, and they don't do that. And instead, they just give, the tip a little flick, and that's it. But I'm going to assume that they're going to take the whole thing all the way, as far down as they can, and whatever Donald Trump wants to have as a decision is what they will have.
I'm curious about how, because we're going to talk about ICE next, and I'm curious to think about and I'm going to pause at this now so you guys can kind of think about it a little bit in the back of your brain while we talk about Minnesota. But how do you think all of this shit that's gone on just in January is going, because it's now all of this shit that's happened in January is now, including the abduction of the leader of Venezuela.
Yep, that sure did
out
happen.
in the open. All of that is now sitting on top of everything that happened in 2025. And the midterms are coming up this year. So how do we think all of this...
They're supposed to be coming up.
The midterms are allegedly coming up this year and should be relatively normal. I know that some people have been speculating that you're going to see, like, ICE agents are running around, like, intimidating people at the voting poll and grabbing people out of the line and stuff, which I can see that happening. But regardless, assuming the midterms do happen, how do you think a lot of this stuff is going to affect what's gone on? And then before we answer that, don't answer that right now, we're going to get into that. Minnesota. Minnesota has had a hell of a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for a state that's usually not in the news much.
I have another conspiracy theory.
Ooh.
Are you ready? Do you want an ASMR or do you want me to just say it?
ASMR, please.
All right. Okay. So I think Minnesota and its area is being targeted specifically. And the main reason why I think it's being targeted specifically is because there's already a lot of civil unrest due to the tariffs, because it is a border town and it is a border state with Canada. So because it's already got people there that are already irritated and pissed off and already having a difficult time because of these additional pressures, they want to use the ICE agents to instigate those people to be more aggressive towards the ICE agents on purpose, because then they will use that to then justify more aggression and more military action, which they are likely to just continue to do and escalate further regardless until they poke until they're quote-unquote justified.
I would say that there's a possibility. There's perhaps a simpler one, which is Tim Walz was part of the team running against Trump and Vance. And Trump is a petty SOB that holds grudges, and Vance is an enabler.
Bitch made. How do you be president and still be? How do you be president of the United States and also have like control of Congress and have the Supreme Court stacked in your favor and still be such a bitch? You wanna know why? You wanna know why I think he's still a bitch over all this stuff? Because he knows he's not legit. He knows he didn't earn it, he knows he doesn't deserve it, and he knows that it's like fucking rigged in his favor, and he knows that if it wasn't rigged in his favor, he'd never get there. So he's a bitch.
You know what sums all that up?
Yeah.
Malignant narcissism.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
Huh.
I mean, the two words sum up everything about him. I know.
So Minnesota's been having a hell of a time. I know at least one person who is in Minnesota who's like in my Discord who was talking about how they've been stalked home by ICE on more than one occasion. And I've heard conflicting about reports about how successful the protests in Minnesota have been. Some people think they're being successful. Some people think they're not being successful. What do you guys think?
So the problem is, for me, in terms of answering that, is that protests are never as successful as you would like, and they're never as much of a failure. Well, they're almost never as much of a failure as the state would like. So, are they being successful? Well, I mean, Trump is still alive, so no.
Trump is
all
still
the
the
ICE agents are
president.
still alive, so no. On the other hand, like, have they done
Mhm.
anything? Yeah, they've certainly made it so that ICE is much is
Dapper, I think you're confusing a protest with a riot.
no, I'm not.
No, okay.
I mean what I said.
I'm not saying you didn't mean it.
I'm not even saying that it needs to be a riot, right? Like, you could just have a
Yeah.
general strike until Trump is publicly drawn and quartered and his corpse paraded through the streets, and then
He
set up
definitely needs
hanging
to
like
be
Mussolini's corpse.
He definitely needs to be Nuremberged for sure.
No, I take a Mussolini. I prefer Mussolini, actually. Just dragged out of a car, shot in the head, and then have his corpse abused for several months.
I should make a poll. Chat, what do you guys think? What would you rather see? Because I personally would. I mean, we've already seen Trump sit in court, but he seems to be like not very respondent. But on
It's
the
because
other
he's
hand,
barely even alive. His brain's
yeah,
off most of the
that's
time.
the thing. Oh, I can't do. Can I do a poll? Let me do a poll. Start a poll. Would you rather it or Berg? You know what I mean. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that going the way of the Alivant, going the way of Charlie Kirk, is going to be like is the way to go, or is like the historically
no,
the most
that's
effective.
not what happened with Mussolini. It was soldiers that did it.
Yeah. What happens? Okay,
It
that's
wasn't
a
just some
different thing.
rando.
You know, it's
Yeah,
like a Ceausescu
yeah.
was another person for whom
Yeah.
was so
I am
hated.
not saying that anyone should pull him out of a car that's just some rando. What I'm saying is that
Right.
the troops need to figure out that, one, the United States Constitution that they swore an oath to is currently not in effect as a result of this guy, and he is the domestic threat that they swore to protect the United States against,
Yeah, that's
as is the majority of the Roberts Court.
Yeah.
And am I advocating for a military coup? No, because technically there has already been a coup. The Roberts Court committed it themselves. They committed it under Biden. The country has not existed since then in any meaningful sense. And the military would be restoring the Constitution, not a coup. They should not do a coup because they can't right now, because the
So
coup
you're
has
saying
already
they
been
should-
committed.
They should fix the coup, is what you're
Yes, they should reverse the coup
saying.
by taking all of the people who committed the coup and became the illegitimate government out and having some interim elections to fill out the rest of the term. And then we can go back to normal elections under the actual Constitution of the United States and not
Yeah,
the sort of
because-
zombie version that we're operating under now.
Under those circumstances, JD Vance would not legitimately be able to take over Trump's position.
Right. No one who's been elected
Interesting.
since the immunity decision is, in my opinion, actually serving under the United States Constitution, because the United States Constitution has not been in effect since
Right.
since that time.
I would agree with that. Like, the Constitution's totally been pissed on, right?
Oh yeah, it's currently look, for a very long time, right? The Constitution was honored more in the breach than in actually following it in any particularly meaningful sense in the United States of America.
Okay,
Sure.
But
now I know what the
lots
problem
of
was.
lots of it was
Back.
somewhat,
I'm back.
yeah, lots of it was like, like you could get away with saying, hey, this is unconstitutional, and having the government be like, oh, okay, well, hold on, we'll step back and look at this. But once the immunity decision happened, that removed checks and balances entirely, and so the basic core of the as well as getting rid of any sense of like needing to look at the Constitution or precedent from the Supreme Court. So that is basically the entire essence of the Constitution. Like, oh, the government's supposed to actually have rules that it has to follow, and if it doesn't, there's redress for that. And the different branches actually have power that they can exercise against each other. Since that's no longer there, what is the Constitution at this point? It is just
So-
the excuse that the current state is using to abuse people. Sorry,
So what
I'll
does
stop
that
now.
mean no, before you stop, what does that mean under the sense of like what ICE is doing in Minnesota? Because if that's the case,
Oh, it's just a
ICE
fascist
itself
occupation.
is Yeah, is an illegal organization.
Yeah, it's a fascist occupation right now. That's all it is. There's nothing more complicated to it than that.
So Minnesota did try to go to court and argue that the feds are overreaching, right? And the judge basically said, no, you're not supposed to do it here. This is not the jurisdiction. It doesn't
It was
come
a
in this
jurisdictional
jurisdiction. So, yeah,
um,
and they denied the
ruling,
request.
not a ruling on the merit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that doesn't mean that they're blessing the tactics, right? It means
Does not.
the constitutional argument didn't clear the bar, right? That's what happened here. And the White House is trying to control the escalation narrative now along with it, right? So they're telling DHS to stay out of protests in Democratic run cities unless asked. That's what they're doing now.
The administration won't care. They're going to continue targeting.
So the administration is acknowledging that this is like politically combustible, and they're trying to make it combustible, right?
Yep.
Like,
Which is what I was saying.
So the question
We've said it
comes
many
down
times.
is,
The cruelty is the point.
and the question comes down is like, what are the limits on the federal enforcement when the communities resist, or when they come down to the local communities? What are the
legal question?
What are the liability standards? What are the liability standards?
Do you mean in reality
agencies
or in
operating
practice?
In practice, yeah, in practice,
practice, there
and
are
in
none.
reality too.
So,
And
well,
then-
I guess I meant
considering that ICE has murdered children at this point under Donald Trump's direct, and children that are United States, his own citizens, that were children that are doing nothing, they're kids.
Yeah.
They're not running around doing like crime or like hard drugs like he likes to pretend fentanyl's a fucking problem and da 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 da. In a way,
I mean, it is a problem in certain places.
In a way that it's not.
Right. Okay.
So it's
But
not these kids
victims of
aren't
ICE are
an
not-
issue, and they're just running around. Just the one guy got straight up executed. I looked at that and I'm like, everybody's wrong, because people were like, oh, this is them enforcing the law the way they're supposed to, and then there were like the insane people who were saying that. Then there were people who were being a little bit more reasonable, saying that this was a murder, and I looked at that and I said, that's a summary execution. That is a summary, that is that group of people deciding they are being judge, jury, and executioner with this guy on his knees, on the ground, shooting him in the back of the head. That is what this is. And with Dapper's point, on top of that, this is a summary execution being done by an illegitimate government.
Yeah.
Right?
The United States is a rogue state right now, and it should be treated as such by everyone. There is no meaningful sense in which there is a legitimate United States government. Now, it's not true for the state governments. The state governments have not had that same problem because their various state Supreme Courts have not made similar decisions that just negate their state constitutions. So I would argue that the state governments are as legitimate as they've ever been, which may depend on your particular political philosophy as to how legitimate that is, which I'm not going to get into. But there is... all states justify, and by that I mean all sovereign entities, right, justify their power in various ways. Those ways are usually more mythical than real in any particular sense. But once they give up the alleged justification that they have in the first place, that's when the people who accepted that justification start to say, well, hey, wait a minute. You don't seem to have any actual legal authority anymore, or any moral authority, or any other kind of authority, other than just having the big guns, which, to be fair, is the actual authority that all governments actually have, is they've got enough guns to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
It's not even just resources, it's specifically the guns. It's about violence.
Gun.
It's not exactly a controversial thing in political theory to say that a state is an organization which maintains a territorially defined monopoly on the initiation of violence.
I think I don't know. I like your take on the military basically overthrowing a coup that should have been stopped in the first place.
And it's not the only time that's happened. There has been a history of the military in Turkey preventing coups by taking out the current president, who was in fact violating the constitution of the current republic.
is the
Now, you might-
violation
South
of the
Korea.
Constitution and is the violation
Yeah, unfortunately,
clear?
Erdogan sort of was able to
Yeah, he
stop
fixed
the
that.
latest set of stuff and is actually gone and persecuted those people who might have tried to basically overthrow him.
Yep.
That
Which is
that notion
unfortunate.
of the military trying to keep the country secular seems to have been lost recently.
I mean,
Rip.
I'm just curious. Is it? What does this look like in the future? If we take this Dapper's proposition, right? Like, let's hypothetical. Let's say the military makes a decision and says, no, this administration is violating the Constitution too much, or whatever it is, or he's gone too far, and they're going to, let's say they don't even necessarily kill anybody, they just disable and arrest people. And then trials are held and yada, 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 yada. And this happens in the United States. Does that change the power dynamic with the branches of the United States government? And does
Yes.
that then get adjusted to, like, the way the law functions around the Constitution?
I don't know. I don't know. Because
I think it.
perfect example would be to see Pakistan. What happened in Pakistan? The
Mhm.
military intervened. They destabilized the president at that time, and they said that they will have elections, but the elections never happened. And the commander-in-chief sat on the seat of the president forever and ever, until it was like I think so. The people around him who supported him started going away, and his grip became too weak. And then
I feel like we need more
now that
info
it
on
was
going
too late.
away.
Huh?
I said I
Sorry?
think we need more info on quote going away end quote.
I mean, they were like, some of them died off, right? And some of them were
Mm.
not like favored anymore. And then all that stuff started happening. And then slowly and steadily, like his grip on the whole thing just slipped. So,
Got it.
and people were becoming more and more disenchanted with him and the military. And then, but it took at least a decade for them to get more than a decade to reach that point. He had like at least a decade to take advantage of that power and sit there and just rule as the president of the country. So what's to say that that won't happen in America
Oh, it might.
if the military intervene?
Generally, if the military is intervening, it's you're in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
the United States is in a
So-
bad situation. And also, Trump has been selling Trump 2028 merch for years already.
Yeah.
So this is
He
one
can
of the
sell
situations
that.
where
That's fine.
he
He can
can,
sell
but
that. Whether it's like he can dream if he
here's-
wants to, but
here's why I pointed out.
Mhm.
go on.
When it comes to fascists, when they tell you who they are and what they're about, you believe them.
Yeah.
And when he says, "Oh, what about Trump 2028?" What that means is he will look for a way to run again in 2028, even if it means violating the
I hope he
explicit
dies
letter
before
of the
that.
Constitution. Well, I mean, there's a pretty good chance he's not exactly, a picture of health.
So
I mean, I've got some
He's
cold
actually lost
champagne in the
weight.
refrigerator waiting. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing. He's probably not losing weight because he's been exercising.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It was like he's losing weight. So
Well, I'm just not convinced that any of these options are going to, like, I'm an outsider. I'm not from the United States. I'm from
Same.
Canada.
You're
So
a neighbor to the north.
yeah, like, I'm pretty well informed, at least minimally. So my take on it is that, at least the way the vibe check is in Canada, is that nobody like, we all fucking hate Trump, but it seems to be that the majority of the vibe here understands that Trump isn't really the main issue. He's just the loudest, most obnoxious symptom. He's like the really big sneeze and cough that you can't stop. And it's
That's
like,
true in some ways, and there are other ways in which I think it's important that he
It's
is to
also-
some degree the problem. Because
yeah.
the problem is that
the thing is,
he has a fairly unique ability to actually rally support from people who don't even like what he's doing.
Yes.
And I don't
The
know
cult.
what
The MAGA
successor
cult.
would be able to do that. Like, Marco Rubio isn't going to fucking do that. JD Vance isn't going to do that. No one likes those two.
Stephen Miller doesn't have the charisma for it.
Yeah, he's just a man who is shaped like a penis. That's all he has. And he's a racist.
I don't like, yes, but also it's a mix of understanding. It's an understanding of this as a systemic problem on top of a cultural problem, on top of a cult problem. So if you were to get rid of Trump and the MAGA GOP collapsed in on itself and then wasn't able to come back into any real position of holding any kind of power for the next 25 years, let's call it, that would be great, but if you don't make any serious structural changes, it's only a matter of time before all this happens again.
I actually do think that there's a fair chance that there might be some amendments to the Constitution proposed if this all goes away without a actual coup. Or
Sure.
I suppose a reverse coup is really what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, for instance, I think there would probably be some kind of Supreme Court reform. There would probably have to be some kind of explicit spell out that the president does not have immunity from either investigation or prosecution for crimes committed while in office under any circumstance, whether it was part of his alleged duties or not. So I like the way I see this coming out is in fact with some structural changes to the Constitution, assuming that it isn't just burned in the first place, and then some kind of reset, which is also a thing that is possible. I think that would involve a whole lot more violence than I would like to see happen, so I'd prefer that that not be the case. But also, there's already been more violence than I would prefer to see happen in some cases, and less than I would prefer to see happen in other cases. So I don't get to fucking choose, do I?
Right. Well, let's take a break. We've been live for about an hour. Everybody go to the bathroom. Everybody get
You can't
popcorn.
tell me what to do.
I'm telling you what to do. I can tell you.
Listen.
You just don't
I'm
have
gonna
to
get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the next section.
Okay, fine. Fine.
Okay.
Fine, Steve, I care.
Okay.
Yeah, we're back. Hey, yo, what up?
Welcome back. I gotta go pee.
All right. I think
Any
it's at the middle of the next section. You liar.
Well-
any good news?
Good news!
Uh,
Good news, everyone. Dapper needs to pee.
Nah, I'm good, actually. I peed
The
during
good
the
news-
break.
The good news is there is a solid resistance against ice, and there is like a large number of people that are working like in solidarity with Minnesota and helping the people
Nice.
in Minnesota to
My
the best of their
allergies.
ability.
My allergies.
Also-
oh my god.
There is
And
an
there's
increasing. Oh, sorry.
There's also another thing that's going on behind the scenes in Congress to make things try to improve the situation. So there's the ability to basically remove the institution altogether, but they may not have the votes for that. But there's also measures to try to curb or try to put limits on it.
See,
it's a
Landon, I actually do think.
excuse
they
me.
have votes. Oh, sorry.
And so working on there's working, and part of it is finding people from the other party to work with to get sponsors there. You don't always get everything, but certainly we're seeing some signs in Congress, particularly around the budget, that there's a larger set of people wanting to put limits on ICE, which is better than nothing, right? I do think that eventually that organization needs to be abolished, but the path to get there can include incremental changes, at least even in the short term. So there's hope.
It's a process.
I think that there are a couple things there. One, I do actually think that there are enough votes because, quite frankly, there could be a government shutdown until something changes, but the Democrats are too chicken shit. The thing they should be doing is saying that the government will be defunded entirely until ICE is entirely defunded on its own, and then we can talk about funding the rest of the government. They could do that. Trump can only find money he's not allowed to spend on the military to pay those military paychecks for so long. When the military starts not getting paid, something's going to change. Because the military will make sure it does.
The military is the ones with the guns. It's true.
Right. And so, right now, it's just the Democrats are being chicken shits. They want to pretend that it's business as usual and we got to negotiate with the other side. The other side are a bunch of murdering fucking fascists. The Democrats need to wake the fuck up, grab what power they have, and fucking use it. And Chuck Schumer needs to be taken out back and put out to pasture.
Retired?
Yes. At the very least, I'm happy for him to retire to a pasture.
I don't know. It's everything in the United States right now is so much of just a mess, and that seems intentional. It's
very intentional.
At least I think the Trump administration by giving Elon Musk things like Doge and doing things like ICE and shit like that is obviously against the law and just flagrantly just running around fragrantly. He probably doesn't smell good. Flagrantly?
One of the things that if you're dealing with legislation, you're going to need to get that the Trump people don't want in the White House. You're going to need to get a veto-proof majority, and that's the difficult climb to make. It's not clear even in the midterms that you could get a Congress like that. So you have to figure out, well, what do we do between now and later on? And part of the process is to try to curb from it. The good news is there are more and more members of Congress that are basically saying something needs to be done about it. Is it going to change as fast as I'd like? No, but there are wins there that at least as Chesh was saying, that gives one a little bit of hope.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there's no improvement there, but my question would be, given that ICE is currently violating whichever laws and court orders they would like to, what statutory benefit or remedy could there possibly be short of taking away their money?
That's a fair question because, like, at the end of the day, they're breaking the law regardless. Like whether or not you say, "Hey, we got the vote, we've got the Supreme Court saying you're breaking the law," and they go, and like they don't care, and they're gonna keep breaking the law. So, like, what does the law do when there is no enforcement of said law, and what does that enforcement look like? And is defunding one of the better options? I think.
I think it's the only
yeah,
option.
I think some part of the process is seeing, and the government bills is saying separate out hold environment, home security separately, so that they and people, there's MAGA people don't want that because they like ICE, but separating it out and then go after the saying we won't fund it unless you start doing these things, is the current wins. How successful it will be will remain to be seen.
What kinds of things could be done that would be actually likely to make a change, though, that would happen before funding is handed over? Because, like I said, the problem is if you have people who aren't following the rules, adding new rules fundamentally, I don't think can help because they're just not following rules in the first place.
I would posit that national security and like things like NORAD, things that are like bases that are in other countries, things that are stuff like that. If you lump all of those in together to say this is us paying for our military, and if you don't get rid of ICE, we don't have homeland security anymore. We don't have security in those bases. We don't have security in these strategically very, very relevant spots. Like, I don't know, America's boats that are in between Taiwan and China right now. It would put America in a position where, like, if they didn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Fold to your demands.
Are you saying tie military spending to DHS spending?
I'm saying that maybe you should threaten the thing that the people care about and say, hey, you're worried that Russia's going to attack us? Well, it would be a shame if we had no military because we defunded it all.
I don't think you're ever... you do know that
Canadian.
the DHS and the Department of Defense are not the same department.
And
yes, so I think there... Okay, I was going to say, I think there might actually be some appetite to defund DHS as a whole. I don't personally think that's
all I'm saying is that
necessary.
If you want to negotiate with somebody, it's not always a bad idea to threaten the thing they care about.
That's true. And I mean, to be fair, that is what I mean when I say the government shouldn't be funded at all, because frankly, the line no one wants to cross is having the military be unpaid. Because fundamentally, in order to stay in power, you need the military to do what you say. And the military does what they say, or does what you say, for a number of reasons. But for a whole lot of them, it's because there's a paycheck. And when there stops being a paycheck, well, a whole lot of them are going to stop doing what you say. So I don't necessarily think we need to say, like, we'll defund the military specifically, so much as just, like, the government shutdown will continue until ICE is either completely defunded or abolished as an agency entirely.
Or isn't that what happened previously when the government shutdown happened? It was like, sorry, give me a second.
I don't remember when. Like, it was a couple of years ago, right?
No, it wasn't last year. It was just last year. The government shuts down in the United States all the time. So what actually happened?
I lost track.
What happened was that the troops were paid illegally by Donald Trump by raiding funds that were for other purposes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good. Maanyaa said she had something and then ran away. All right.
But that will almost certainly happen again if the government shuts down long enough. But the thing is, those little funds that you can just easily move money around in only last so long. And while it's not really true that the government is meaningfully funded by tax money, it is the case that they do have accounts with limited amounts of money in them, and that during a shutdown, it's a lot harder to add money to those accounts no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Now, one thing we've seen Trump do is essentially raid other funds. And there's been court challenges on that as well, TBD. But you saw, for example, that Congress came back and restored, for example, funding to NASA for the National Weather Service and so forth, and they separated things out there. It was good that they basically did it because they didn't put it all into one giant monumental bill. And so Trump was pressured to let that go through.
Oh, food assistance.
I think
that's right.
Yeah, I think that this next move to separate out Department of Homeland Security from the rest of the stuff will then allow a specific debate about what DHS is doing, and there is where one can put further restrictions or even cut back on the thing. But it's better than just letting them continue to expand and get bigger.
I'm finding like
Landon's
a couple of major problems, right? That like practically, I mean, not like in theory and not necessarily like what is happening now. And it's that the government moves slowly until it's not. The Democrats are probably most likely doing what they can do with the power they do have. And are trying to do what they can now they might not be right, or they might not be doing the right thing, but they are doing their best. And maybe their best isn't good enough, and that's fine. It's a different conversation. The point is that they are doing things in the background regardless, but it is in the background, which is smart, because you don't want the shit that they're doing to be out in the open, because if the shit was out in the open, they'd probably be getting shot by ICE. So they have to do things to a degree in the background. There was already a political assassination in Minnesota before the big fucking ICE raids that were going on. So it's odd to me that one group, between the Democrats and the GOP, it always seems to me, and seems to have consistently been the case, that the GOP are able to get shit done and the Democrats aren't. And so because the Democrats have such a bad vibe record, how true it is isn't relevant. They might have been incredibly successful, but if you can't communicate that to your people and to your constituents, they're going to feel like shit. So they might be doing things, and there might be things that are very, very important and very, very relevant, but it's all bureaucratic jargon that the majority of your people aren't going to understand, compared to, hey, we got guns and we sent our guys in to go get all the illegal immigrants and we shot a guy in the head, which is like flashy and in the news and people care about it.
Especially if people individuals are being sort of manipulated by algorithms like what TikTok is doing, and trying to move people in that area, it becomes very difficult to have a
do your obligatory TikTok thing now, Landon. Do your TikTok thing now.
Yeah. I want to point out, and I'm going to make a recommendation. Please delete TikTok from all your digital devices. Right? It's a very, very serious situation right now. The latest, for example, TikTok end user license that Americans have to look at is actually quite serious. For example, it says, I read it there, that TikTok may collect the following from users: your racial and national ethnic origin, your national origin, your religious beliefs, your mental health diagnosis, your physical health diagnosis, your sexual life, your sexual orientation, your status as transgender, your status as non-binary, your citizen status, your immigration status, your financial information, and government issued identification numbers such as driver's license numbers. Right? Now, in addition to that, what the TikTok app is doing, if you're not on TikTok, it is sampling your on devices like your mobile phones. It's sampling your copy cut buffer several times a second. So if TikTok's in the background,
can you please explain what a copy cut buffer is?
So when you're let's say in an app and it says type in this, and you want to take that code and copy it and place it someplace else. Or let's say it wants you to fill in stuff and you have your information where you grab it from your address book and paste it into a form. It's in the copy buffer like that. And TikTok is sampling that. Now, what can they do with it? Well, again, they're not necessarily wanting to steal, let's say, your driver's license number if you have to type in, or a registration number. They just want that for further information to understand who you are for their algorithms, right? And so And
like what you
so
buy and what you
even in the
prefer.
U.S., since of course it's okay, it's not ByteDance is not only 20% of the board. The U.S. company, which has very big ties to the Trump administration, they gave Trump lots of money, are now
Of
collecting
course.
this information to supply lots of stuff. So again, it is doing things in your microphone, it's doing things in your copy buffer, watching what you're typing in, even in the background, even not using it. So please don't give me this, oh, but I use TikTok for this and that. No, delete it from all of your devices. Please do not use TikTok. Delete all apps from all your digital devices right now. No excuses. No, but I want to do blah, blah. No, no, no. Delete it. Get rid of it. Please.
Would
If
it be
you
fair to
would-
call it malware at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
If you would like
Okay, I'm doing
to
it.
argue against and fight against the Trump administration and you would like to be against things like ICE, delete TikTok.
Yes. Also,
Because
just
it's
delete
doing
TikTok.
nothing but
It's bad
helping
for you.
them.
So
Yeah.
so you mean to first delete your account and then delete the app, right? That's what you mean, Landon, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to delete your
Because even if
account.
it's in the background,
Yep.
it's doing things.
Yep.
Your
Do
behalf.
both. Delete your
that's
remove
it.
your account and delete
Okay,
and
I'll do
remove
it
your...
then.
Yeah, I mean, and serious, and it is. And now the thing is that it used to be that it was purely the fear was the Chinese Communist Party was collecting this information. Now it's a U.S. organization which has nice ties because they gave a bunch of money to the Trump family, and now Trump is pro TikTok. He likes it. He wants it done, right? Guess why?
Yeah, as a
gee.
rule of thumb, if Trump thinks you should do something, you should run the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Well said.
On the other hand, speaking of China, Canada and China have come to some sort of agreements, partially related to tariffs. So Canada had tariffs on China and Chinese goods and wouldn't allow certain Chinese goods into the country, mainly the EV market, the electric vehicle market. The reason why Canada had these tariffs on China was because the United States asked us to.
You're welcome.
That is the main reason.
That's such a
and
dumb reason. I'm sorry,
It is-
but come on, Canada.
yeah.
What the fuck?
yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that because of that.
No.
At least not for that reason. We probably should have come up with our own. But our reason was like, our friends asked us to, and we're chill with that. So, so
And
we
your
did
friend
that.
stabbed you in the back repeatedly. Over
Yeah,
and
they're
over
still
and over.
they're still stabbing us. Anyway, fine, whatever. So
I deleted my TikTok account. I just deleted
Yay.
that. Now I'm gonna delete the fucking app of my phone. Oh, why are you?
And Chesh, I'm going to give you a link to a video you can put in the description. There's a lot more details
Oh yeah.
done by Patrick Boyle about the TikTok thing and what's happening with the government. So forth. So I'll
Yes.
see more information.
Yeah, no problem.
Now,
So,
Landon, what do we do if we physically can't delete TikTok?
tell all your
We'll
friends to
stop
do
it.
it.
Okay.
Share the news.
I
Share the
ask
good
because I've never
news.
had a single device with a TikTok app on it ever.
Yeah, same. Ian in the chat
There we
is
go.
asking
Done.
that they're outside of America, so I wonder if I too should have to delete TikTok. If you're
Yeah,
outside
I mean,
of
this is
America,
a U.S. thing, but again, the information.
I wouldn't risk it.
Because the TikTok
Yeah.
algorithm is collecting this information, right? It just happens to be in the U.S. It's a Trump-aligned thing, but
How do we
but-
know it's not gonna try and sneak it like with with their next update to other countries, right? Unless someone brings it up, no one will know.
Yeah.
So they might try and sneak it in with the next update to other countries too, and you'll never know. So yeah.
Yeah, it would be
why
the
I
first
deleted
app
it.
to be doing illegal things in your country.
yeah.
I can
Well,
promise you.
one thing that's
Yeah.
interesting right now that TikTok is doing in the U.S. is that you can't type. If you try to do stuff with Jeffrey Epstein, your thing gets
Yeah.
censored, right?
ICE as well,
Um,
actually.
Yeah, and ICE is another thing. That was a U.S. thing. Just started is that when the U.S. group took over, you can no longer talk about ICE.
Yeah.
Hey, remember that time that Elon Musk said that censorship was over on Twitter, and then it turns out that per unit time, he actually acceded to more government-initiated censorship requests than the
Yeah.
previous leadership did?
Fucking
I remember that.
liar.
So Chesh, I put into Discord a link to Patrick Boyle's video, which I highly recommend watching. He's got much more detail on stuff that I mentioned.
It is
but-
in the live chat, and I will add it to the description once the show is over for sure. I'll get it in there.
All
So,
Alrighty.
China. All right. So there are a couple of things that are in the deal with China and Canada, and I expect this deal will get more expansive as time goes on, and if Canada decides that China's doing a good enough job, then right now it's EVs, canola oil, which is a really big deal, and I'll explain why in a minute. And
Yes.
basically just being allowed to travel to China, which
Yeah,
is
no visa.
huge. Yeah, no visa travel, which is for China, that's massive.
Yeah.
So- Go ahead.
Yeah, I would not recommend traveling to People's Republic of China, but
It's a
Yeah.
big step. It's a big step,
step.
and so
You know
I'll
who
kind of-
traveled?
Go ahead.
Hassan Piker traveled to China, and he made a meme of the current whoever the in charge is of China over there, and he got pulled over by the police for doing that.
Mhm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Even though
considering
he
what they've
was
done
there
with
as a-
Canadian-
He was there as a propagandist, a paid propagandist in favor of China in China, and he got pulled over because he made a meme.
Yeah, that's about what I would expect.
So
the
No
vibe
So,
big
yeah.
surprise.
It is very
No.
it is very Canada coded in that we like to have our hands in a lot of cookie jars, and also we like to influence other countries. However, the way we do it is not the same way that the United States does it. The United States kind of goes in fucking guns a-blazing, we've got freedom! We're gonna dump freedom on your head! And like,
You got
okay,
a lot of
fine.
oil. Seems like you need some freedom.
Right. Canada, on the other hand, is a little bit more, like, subtly manipulative, where we do things like cultural exchanges, and we're like, yeah, let's open up trade, and then we're also gonna trade cultural ideas. So every time your students come over to Canada, they get to learn about democracy, and they get to learn about all these other things where life doesn't have to be garbage.
Except that it's cold and uninhabitable.
Well, there's that.
and maybe China actually could learn from social services, because one thing you
Right.
don't get under the Chinese Communist Party is any kind of social services, any type of educational services, health benefits, so forth. It really is, if you are poor under the Chinese Communist Party, they don't like you, and you're just as well. So maybe they will learn from Canada how to actually have a society where healthcare is a right, not a privilege, and where people try to take care of each other.
Well,
Those are things I think that are
if this
that are
happens
admirable
and-
that they might learn from Canada.
If this happens and there are some cultural exchange things, there are definitely some ideas and concepts that China has that I think are great and would be great to bring over. And there are things that hopefully Canada can provide the other direction. And so, like, having those, like, China has an incredibly rich history. So getting more access to that and getting more of some of that philosophy out into the world, I think is a great thing. I think we should have that. I think being able to have, like, long-term plans to fuck over your enemies is a great fucking idea. We should do those things. And so,
Chesh's
like,
a xenophile. You heard it here first.
all I'm saying is, like, not all of it's bad all of the time, and sometimes you can learn from people who have been doing something for a really, really long time. Of course, I still think that China doesn't own Taiwan, and that's not gonna change because I'm now, quote-unquote, allowed to visit China. But, like, that being able to do cultural exchanges is a huge factor. There's also, like, tons of Chinese students that come to Canada to learn because we have some of the top universities in the world. But besides that, canola oil. Canola oil is fucking massive, and I will explain why briefly. Alberta.
Oh, good. Love it when it starts with Alberta.
Alberta, Manitoba,
what-
and Saskatchewan are the places that produce canola oil. So they don't just make regular crude oil. They don't just have regular crude oil there. They do canola oil. There's been a massive tariff and, like, an export issue with canola oil because our main export partner for the canola oil is the United States. that might change because allowing our canola oil into fucking China means that the canola oil industry is going to boom. And so when the canola oil industry booms, suddenly the Liberal Party, who is like, oh, the snobby Ottawa people, are suddenly making a shitload of money for the Western state plains provinces that like to bitch that nobody cares about them.
What's a canola anyway?
I don't know.
Okay. Landon, do you know what a canola is?
It's
So-
is it not a seed?
I think so.
Well, yeah, I
It's
figured it's a seed, but like, what kind of a plant? Is it like, are there canola trees? Are there canola vines? Are there canola bushes?
Hold on, let me
Is
find
it
out.
grass? I don't know.
I don't know, but it says it's a rapeseed.
So what?
Well, yeah, but that's
Yeah.
that's just what it used to be called. But then everyone was like, maybe we shouldn't use the word rape.
Yeah, oil-rich seed that contains a mildly toxic erucic acid. The term canola refers to the group of rapeseed cultivars with
Cultivars
very
of
low.
what?
Well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia. Give me a minute. They're brassica. They're brassica,
Oh, they're
bro. Yeah.
Look at everything's brassica. Of course it is.
Everything's
Jeez.
brassica. Brassica Prime. Let's fucking go.
Oh.
No.
So
We did
what?
it. We got there.
So- what it looks like is what it looks like is Canada is signaling to the world that they don't have to solely depend on US, right, for trade. They can. It's okay to go
Sure.
to China to go to for.
Well, it's
to
also
diversify
really
your
important.
trade.
It's also really important because it's telling Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan that one, this prime minister cares about them, and two, they have more to give than just the oil plains.
Yeah.
And I think Canada is a sovereign country, free to establish
Yeah.
relations. It is if a Canadian, you'd want to depend upon the Canadian government to monitor that service, right? Because these kind of things that they're talking about, announced with an agreement, right, does not mean that people will follow through. So and a similar thing like with electric vehicles, right? The history of the Chinese Communist Party with electric vehicles is that they send over handcrafted, well-made cars to try to enter into the market at a low price and then do a bait and switch once you become dependent upon it. And
So
the way but Canada has a rich inspection system.
Yes.
And if the
They have a lot of
cars
rules.
coming in are not up to Canadian
So-
standards, then
Yeah.
they'll step up.
And
in China, there's several grades that they follow for different products, right? Especially, so the grade starts from A and can go to E and sometimes F, depending on the type of product it is, right? Usually, what China does is A and B grades, which are their highest grade manufactured products, they are kept in China itself. The rest are exported to the world. So, but what Australia can do is they can demand the reverse. They can say, we want your A and B grade. First, set the standard for that for us by sending us samples and stuff, and we'll set an inspection standard for it. And then you start exporting your A and B grade products to us, which includes EVs, and we will keep up the
Very good point. And
So yeah, this comes from experience, ladies and gentlemen. I have been in trade before.
and
What?
and there isn't
Yes.
a big thing to like the market in Canada for EVs is Tesla.
Yes,
And none of us want to buy
yes.
Tesla. So
No.
it's like the
Well,
trade
Tesla
is
doesn't want to make Tesla anymore. Did you hear about that?
what?
there are other vehicles besides that, but
Tesla's-
There are,
and,
but
you
the
know,
market isn't there in
and
Canada.
Tesla, by the way,
has
has just
Started its
canceled
exit from the
two of-
EV market. It seems they're canceling
and
two
then
of their
they
biggest
just
sellers.
canceled
There's like no.
two of their previous cars, right? The two showcase cars with the S and the X. Right? They say they've interlaced those things.
Yep.
And so the electric car market is moving forward because Tesla, one of its damages it did was to distort the car market and get people to pay a ridiculous high price for something that wasn't really that good. I think Canada has an opportunity if they do, as Maanyaa said, they bring over the A and Bs and say, you can sell A or B stuff, but as soon as you go to C, you're not in there. And so Canadians need to rely on their inspection system. Same thing. If they're going to have the agreement to sell canola oil, you don't want the Communist Party to sit there and say, yeah, but this Canadian canola oil is inferior, so we'll grow our own and stop buying stuff. So you need to hold because again, countries are not like people. They just have opportunities. There's no alliances. They're just opportunities. And right now, China and Canada have an opportunity, and you got to count on
no enemy
Canada
and no
up.
alliance is permanent between countries.
Yep.
Yeah. Not today. Not in today's world. No.
Not in any world. I think one of the things that's happened, one of the things that I was speculating, I was postulating about this while I was like, I don't know, in the shower or something. And I was like, I wonder how much.
Goblins take showers?
Sometimes. Once in a while. They're scheduled.
Really?
Yeah.
Like cats.
They're one of the things is that I was speculating on. I was like, I wonder how much of the inflation and housing issues have to do with if there's been too much stagnation between trade between the countries for a long enough period of time. I don't know if that's true. I was just thinking about it.
Some of it's also provincial too. There's provincial issues that can also impact because I know that the availability of housing does differ in different provinces. Well, it's not in that case. Canada is not monolithic in that way. But again, I hope that Canada and China benefit from a better relationship, and I hope that Canada makes sure that the bargain remains as they agreed to, or gets implemented.
Yeah.
Right?
It's important to be smart about it. Yeah.
To do stuff, not that it's happening. Or
the trade agreement is down the line. Yeah. I'm just curious. The thing that I think is the biggest thing is this cultural exchange that is looking like it's going to be a thing that takes place. And I think that is a really big deal because I think it's beneficial for the people in China, and I think that Canadians can benefit from it as well. And mutually beneficial cultural exchanges are great.
And say, but be sure that they're, for example, not starting up like Confucius Institutes where they begin to monitor people of Chinese descent, because China does hold contempt for a number of people, let's say, in the Vancouver area who are escaped from Hong Kong persecutions or are very involved with Taiwan, right?
What you're suggesting is that
the Republic of China and the Chinese Communist Party does not overstep their boundary. Because remember, China as a country only goes back to the 1900s. It's been all these dynasties and all these other stuff, and the Mongols running in their place and so forth. So their notion of if you're going to deal with them, the Chinese Communist Party has never run Taiwan. Taiwan is an independent entity. And so this cultural exchange, I would encourage Canada to reach out and do the same thing with Taiwan.
Oh, absolutely. Canada just needs to maintain its integrity. So it's fine to trade, it's fine to interact, but don't sacrifice yourself too much to do so. You can't complicit.
For people up there, right?
Yeah.
All
right. Some good news for people because everybody's miserable, everything sucks. Here, let me give you guys some things. I'm gonna show you guys some shit because Landon and I were talking about this and we've been thinking about it. We're like, how do we get people to not be so stressed out about literally everything? Because
puppies?
So this is a guy I like to watch. I'm gonna show you guys some of the people I watch. So he does news between Canada and America, but he tries to keep it in fact-based without it being outrage content and without it being very angry.
And be sure to put a link to his YouTube thing in your description below.
Yeah, I'm gonna add all these to the description afterward, but I'll throw them in the live chat as they're coming up so you can take a look. I've got this guy. He just does flexibility and weight stuff. But his videos are super cute, and some of them are they're for basic levels.
Oh God!
If you're trying
what the hell is that?
Squats, man. Yeah, look, there's a period pain one.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So and he does workouts, and he has free stuff that's available, books and things. So if you're just if you're feeling stressed out and you're just having a bad time, just walking away and putting some music on and stretching will make you feel incredibly much better, way more than you will expect it to. So
Yay. And
can
doing a
check
little
him out.
smiling too. Smiling,
Sorry?
stretching the smiling lips. Stretching the lip.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is.
Wait, are you telling the audience to smile more?
Yes, please.
Okay.
This is Clean with B. She does free cleaning for people with like either disabilities or mental health issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I absolutely
People have
recommend
hoarding issues and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I definitely recommend checking her out. Not only is it like that, it's got that oddly satisfying itch where it like goes from being a mess and you get to yeah. It's got all that oddly and it's like super cute. And you know, liking and subscribing and going over there helps pay for the cleans. So the people that are getting cleans sometimes get new furniture and stuff like that. So
that is so nice.
And then I just found this guy. Shut up. This guy's name's
I've
Sam
heard of him.
Bentley. Yeah. And I've passed this guy around before, but he like kind of finds stuff that's in the news that is more positive. So I wanted to give you guys an example where this is his January one. So we're just going to watch just a little bit of it so you guys can get like a little bit of a vibe and also get some good news in your life. Let me just make sure your audio is going to come in properly. All right.
First month of 2026, and why does it feel like we've had a year's worth of bad news in just a month? Some of you may actually already know the answer to that. You see, constant negative media cycles and throwing loads of information at us all at once is also a political strategy known as flooding the zone, and it's sometimes used to overwhelm people with information. You see, research shows that when we're overwhelmed by constant negative news, we become more stressed, we reduce our critical thinking and don't question as much, and we're more receptive to fear-based messaging. And that's exactly why I created this show, to help keep us united at a time it feels we're trying to be divided more than ever, and keep us activated, pushing for a better future and holding our leaders accountable. This show will...
So there you go. That's what his channel, that's what his show is about. It's about like...
I subscribe to him, by the way. I recommend it.
Keep looking at negative news all the time is not going to make you an effective person to fight against other things. If you're so exhausted you can't help other people, you can't help yourself, you're going to be in a bad place, you're going to make bad decisions. That's just the way it is. You're going to get exhausted. So I think it's just really, really important that everybody just remembers to fucking walk away. Take one day a week where you just don't. It'll be there when you get back. It'll be okay.
Do some community stuff. Do some art stuff. Just go for a walk.
Pick up a hobby.
Yay.
Chesh tells me that me doing art doesn't count as taking a day off.
No, it doesn't. Because you're never doing it, because you're always doing it for something. You're not doing it just to do it half the time. You're doing it for a show.
I don't even know what that means.
You're doing it for a show.
Yeah, that's why I do the arts.
If you guys want to pick up art, come and follow me on Twitch. I will just start giving art lessons if that's what needs to happen. Like, if you're interested, I'll just start explaining exactly what I'm doing.
And by the way, cooking lessons. You watch her cook. Yes, and I want to do some cooking stuff too, to figure out, saying, you go in your refrigerator, I have some stuff, how do I make a meal, right? That's a...
Yeah, just take some time, pick up a hobby, pick up something that is like, I'm not going to give you a brain aneurysm because you're watching the news. So I'm just going to, let's see what some of the news examples he gives are for what he ends up sharing. So I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit, and here we go.
Taking it without knowing. Get into it, here's some good news from January that you might have missed. And we're starting with news that a dementia vaccine may already exist, and millions of people may have taken it without knowing. Research led by Stanford University suggests...
That makes me a little uncomfortable. I don't know how I feel about taking a vaccine that I didn't know about.
Dementia?
What he's saying is that this has an effect, though people that are taking it for other reasons, has some side effects that appear to be beneficial. It was not what it was prescribed for.
People may have taken it without knowing. Research led by Stanford University suggests that the shingles vaccine can reduce the risk of developing dementia by around 20% and may even slow the progression of the disease in people who already have it. The researchers analysed health records from more than 280,000 older adults in Wales, taking advantage of a shingles vaccination programme introduced in 2013. Because eligibility was based on a very narrow age cutoff, scientists were able to compare nearly identical groups, making the results unusually reliable. They found that people who received the shingles vaccine were significantly less likely to develop dementia over the following years. And even more striking was that among people who already had dementia, those who were vaccinated were far more likely to still be alive years later. Scientists don't yet know exactly how the shingles vaccine protects the brain, but if confirmed by future studies, it could become one of the most accessible tools ever for reducing the impact of a disease that currently has no cure. And in another
And that thing, by
There
the way,
you
looks
go.
very significantly, very statistically significant. And people notice this item, particularly there. By the way, I have a shingles vaccine. You should consider shingles vaccine. It's also important because you do not want shingles. So
Yeah,
it's like,
bad times. Bad times.
Except on
So-
your roof. You might want those.
health win, Brazil just
just
became
fall
the
like
first
a fucking
country with
dog.
over 100 million people to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of HIV, achieving a historic public health milestone.
Wow.
The country ensured that over 95% of pregnant women receive prenatal care, HIV testing, and timely treatment, reducing the rate of babies born with HIV to below 2%. And
That's crazy.
Yay.
Below 2%.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That
That's a
is
big deal.
absolutely amazing.
Can I point out that, like, just because things are going to shit in the United States from a political standpoint doesn't mean that there isn't still things that are positive that are happening
Can
both
you?
in other
No.
places in the
Like-
world and in the United States still?
It's true.
like this coho salmon thing in the Russian
Can you
River
put-
area. That's a
Yeah.
good
Can you-
thing.
Yeah. Can you put the link to this channel in the live chat? I want to subscribe
Yeah, I
to
did.
it now so that I can.
I'll
You did?
add it again. Yeah, I'll add it
Yeah.
again.
Yes,
There you
please.
go.
Thank you. I really. Thank you.
It'll be in the description as well.
some
Okay.
huge salmon news
Subscribe.
in the US too, as coho salmon have returned to California's Russian River for the first time in over 30 years.
That's awesome.
Years after a statewide recovery strategy was put in place. Juvenile coho salmon was spotted in the upper basin in Mendocino County last summer, the first confirmed natural reproduction in the area since 1991. This was thanks to improved
Wow.
fish passages, habitat restoration, and even a rescue effort when it was discovered that these juvenile fish had become stranded in an isolated and drying pool.
Whoa.
Between 2021 and 23, California's actually rescued nearly 14,000 coho salmon from drying pools during drought years, helping rebuild health.
So, I just want to point out that Sam has to do a lot of work of finding the good news in all of the garbage. So
Yeah, I
maybe
bet.
leave him, maybe if you go over there and you subscribe, maybe leave him a comment of encouragement because, you know, comments of encouragement are hard to come by. Like even this video, which is from 9 days ago, that has 170,000 views, only has 1,000 roughly comments.
Yeah, he
And
definitely Bilbo'd
maybe say
his
we sent
group.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, he needs to Bilbo them. It's true. You're right, Landon.
The rhinos.
Oh,
Remember
yes,
we talked
the
about the
rhinos.
rhinos? There's been an update for the
Oh, yeah.
rhinos.
Yay! Rhinos! Let's go.
But yeah, he's got like 16 points. You can see in the top. Well, you might. Hold on. There we go. 5 out of 16. He's got like 16 good news stories in the top. I'm not gonna play his whole video just because, like, why would I do that?
Yeah, sure.
But
yeah.
that's just what I'm talking about. Sometimes you can just take a break, listen to his, like, how long is this video? This video is 15 minutes long. So if they're roughly on average 15 minutes long, you could sit down, listen to some good news, and stretch for 15 minutes with the other guy's channel. See what I'm doing? I'm setting
Whoa.
you guys up for fucking success.
It's like a synergy
Yeah.
bonus.
Yay.
Yeah!
Again, and you don't have to be naive about what's going on. Just don't obsess over it. And again, avoid some of these
Yeah.
doom type news stuff that
Like this show?
keeps you in there, right? Because we talk about things, we talk about solutions, and also have fun and smile on occasion.
Landon
At
talks
least
about
that's
solutions. I talk about blood flowing through the streets.
Dapper's out here, blood for the blood god.
Guys, help me
So-
start
so
my
I've
Coronate
been-
Army IRL.
Listen, Dapper has a sore knee. He'll be okay.
I have two
So
swords,
I've
actually.
been working with members of Congress staff on things, and there's various projects. One of the things I've been doing is we've had this corrective actions list, right? And they've been discussing. I've been with members of Congress what to do when they're able to have the votes to do it, and how do you go about it. And one of the things I've been doing is QAing. So they say, well, we want to do this. And so I say, well, okay, if I'm opposition, I'll do this, this, and this to prevent you. And so how you work around that sort of thing.
I
But
will
I
say.
think it was with.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
And so I came up with 9 new points
Yes.
to consider
Share
for
your
next
points.
time. So issue a presidential directive renouncing Project 25 as a blueprint for the United States federal government.
Mhm.
Create a bill to remove voting rights of the 23 ex-official members who were denied, or excuse me, to restore voting rights of the 23 ex-official who were denied quorum voting rights on the Kennedy Center. Create a bill to limit the number of Kennedy board members appointed by the president. Sign a treaty recognizing the International Court and present for ratification to the U.S. Senate for becoming a member of the court. Once ratified, capture former President Trump and Secretary of Defense Haig and transfer them to the court to stand trial for war crimes. By the way, you can do that even if Trump pardons them. Revoke the vaccine recommendations on childhood vaccines that were established around the start of 2026. Recall the U.S. ambassador to Canada and then fire him for cause, and including conduct, for conduct not becoming that of an ambassador.
Hoekstra.
And then finally, release a proclamation recognizing Canada as a sovereign country and renouncing the 51st state rhetoric.
It's a start. There's so much that needs to get done. It's going to be a busy
But
time.
it needs to start. So these are
yeah,
things.
it's just going to be a busy
they're
time.
looking at how to do that, whether or not that's just a congressional statement or a bill or so forth. And so that's what we're working on. What would be the most effective thing? Recognize again, these are things that are not going to fix stuff, but can make some improvements. So
I think
we're trying.
I think that's something that people should. I think there's a lot of people who just don't know what to do, and they just don't feel like enough is getting done, and they're not sure what to do about stuff. So I would recommend, if you're not sure what to do about stuff, stop watching news coming out of the United States. Start watching news coming from even the BBC, or coming out of Canada, or coming out of Australia, or coming out of Korea. Like, watch news that is not directly coming from your own machine, so you can see the way the rest of the world is handling Donald Trump, and you can see what the rest of the world is doing, or the way the rest of the world is currently viewing the United States, without that kind of propaganda push that's getting more and more aggressive in the United States. So I'd recommend doing that.
And if that doesn't work, join my army of cornates, grab yourself a battle axe and a pistol, and let's go.
And then, if you have an opportunity, travel. If you're in the United States, travel outside the United States. So I had the fortune of traveling in Canada, in Turkey, and Switzerland, right? And seeing
if I leave, I'm probably not coming back.
For that area. So, and it was interesting to see. It gives you a different perspective.
If you are in the United States and you're finding that you're struggling and you're having a really hard time, you need to take a step back, because you're not going to be able to help anybody when you're in that kind of a mental state. Go outside and go do something in your local community, because your local community is likely in a place where it's either still helping out. So, like, go work at a food bank, go pick up volunteer hours at, like, an old folks home or something, and just go and interact with your go interact with your local area. Not only will that put you in a better position when it comes to, and put you in more of, like, a collective group mindset, and you will be more community oriented when it comes to dealing with, untimely invaders like ICE.
Yeah.
Or at least then you actually are going to feel a lot better about, there are small things that you can do that aren't small to the people you're doing them for.
And like in our area, you don't have to cure all the world's ills, but for example, in our area, there are things where they deliver to seniors meals, right? And all it is somebody goes there and delivers something and checks up and sees, and hey, what's happening? They say, I haven't been able to turn on my refrigerator is not working. So you go back and say, hey, this person has a bad refrigerator. Can we get someone to donate or go out and fix it? Those are things, again, just little tiny things.
Sometimes it can just be like, go help shovel somebody's driveway. I'm kidding. I'm the only one who gets that.
Sometimes it can be, hey, a friend of ours is in a rough spot, and there's a maybe a link in Chesh's
But-
DMs.
Yes, and if you donate to that person because that person had a raw deal with a ex roommate, that person can find safe housing and continue to be an amazing person if they are.
In other words, Vishanti is currently in a rough spot as a result of one roommate moving out, to be fair, giving notice and some time to figure things out, but then another roommate just fleeing the state without any notice, and in fact, having lied about that being the plan, saying, oh, I'm just going out to take care of a few things, I'll be back, and then actually getting an apartment in a different state that roommate also can't afford.
Wow.
Yeah, and then sticking
so,
Vishanti
again,
with rent and utilities for several months.
And if you can afford a buck or two, that helps because that's a buck or two that she doesn't have. And if you can't afford even a buck, share it with somebody. That's
Share.
another way to be nice, right? You're talking about doing positive things, sharing that link, or because again, she's an amazing person, does amazing stuff, and you can.
You could also consider learning how to crochet, because there is a hat that is going around that is a red hat inspired by a symbol of resistance to Nazi occupation, and there is a free pattern download. There's a pattern link that downloads and it costs $5.
Oh,
So
interesting.
there's that also, but also send money to Vishanti. Definitely send money to Vishanti if you have money to
If
send.
you can afford it. If you can't,
have
then
it.
she
If
doesn't
not-
want it, I promise.
And if not, share it with somebody else who might.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
All right, let's
actually,
get outta here.
well, there's
what
one
is up?
tentative thing I want to announce. So everyone knows, like, I got my shows Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Come to the channel. There's also stuff on Top Hats Off Friday. Everyone
Yeah.
knows that. What you might not know is that I am working with Erica to get a collaboration done between myself, her, Gutsa Gibbon, Dan from Creation Myths, Dr. Dan, and Vishanti to benefit Vishanti's fundraiser early next month. That is our hope, is to get all that ironed out with that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a 4-person stream. I think it might be about Rob Carter, but rather than super chats, we're asking that people just go ahead and give to that fundraiser. And yeah, so if you're a fan of Gutsa Gibbon or Dan from Creation Myths or me or Vishanti, we'll look forward to that.
The Vishanti's link is pinned at the top of the chat. I will make sure all these links get added to the description. And
So I
I'll
donated
label them.
and I shared it, so you could do too, and get a smile on your face.
Thank you so much for
Hey.
joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe. Go check out everybody at their stuff down below. Delete TikTok. Get the fuck off of Twitter. Don't obey in advance. And go help an old lady cross the street.
Yeah, and subscribe to Dapper's channel too, but also subscribe to this channel. That subscription is not like a magazine thing. You're not going to be hassled. You're just saying to YouTube, we like this channel. So
Yeah, you can come
So-
and check it out when you want to, or you don't have to do it every day. It's not like that.
But if you
What
do,
are you
please.
even
if
fucking
five
talking about?
if 5 people subscribe to me, though, I will get my trip to Indiana paid for by the company. So please, I only need 5 more subscriptions.
the
Oh,
company,
Interesting.
which company?
We
That
Yeah.
company.
love
The company
the
that
company.
sells.
The company. Even if we die, we
The
love the
company.
company. Sorry, what?
But yeah,
I'm just making fun of
go
those
ahead and
door-to-door
subscribe
magazine salespeople.
Yeah.
to Dapper's channel because you'll learn some things in there. They just had a video where they did about 2 hours of to commentary about 1 minute and 20 seconds, I think. of
Okay,
stuff.
to
Yeah.
be
And they
fair,
do-
most
really
of it
great
wasn't
detail.
actually commentary. Most of it was just fucking around.
I'm gonna go ahead
But
and
that's part of the fun.
I'm gonna shout out Travis on our way out here, who says peace, love, and fuck ice. Have
Yes.
a good day, everybody.
And don't forget, Volcano Show next month. Madam Paley is doing some amazing things.
Goodbye.
Yes, she is.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.